our next guest says BP is responsible for the two biggest oil disasters in U.S. history. Zygmunt Plater headed the legal team for the Alaska Oil Spill Commission in the Exxon Valdez disaster. He says that one was caused by a series of cost-cutting decisions dominated by BP more than 20 years ago. Plater is now a law professor at Boston College. He is joining us from our Boston newsroom. Zig, glad to have you with us. You say the reason that most people don't know BP was behind the Valdez disaster is because the commission made a mistake by not naming BP in the report. Why would the state commission do that?
Well, looking back, we should have said BP. We said Alyeska because that's the management company which BP dominated, which created the preconditions for the Exxon Valdez spill, which we said was not just possible, but was inevitable. We didn't know what company it would be, but the system had made so many risky cost-cutting measures that our commission decided this was just bound to happen.
So it's no surprise to you, though, that BP is now in another disaster. I mean, because whenever we speak about Exxon Valdez, it's always Exxon Valdez. It's not BP Valdez.
And it's also a captain who drank too much, and our commission said that wasn't the issue. The culture within BP appeared to be more slack than in any of the other companies. And what I have no particular direct knowledge of the Gulf, but what we hear again and again is that BP's corporate culture allowed the same kind of cost-cutting and also very poor contingency planning.
So you see the disaster in the Gulf as just a continuation of what you saw 20 years ago in Alaska?
And that's the rap that other people have been making as well, who know the Gulf situation better than I. Our commission said complacency, collusion, and neglect characterized the system, and the system had been created by BP in Alaska. They got out scot-free, though, because we didn't use the name BP. We just said Alyeska.
So if you had it to do over again, you would certainly include BP. Is that what you're saying?
We would make it clear so that people would say there's something here that has to be cleaned up before there's another disaster. And instead, everything focused on a captain who had had a few drinks, but that really was not the reason that happened.
Talk to us about Chevron. The CEO said yesterday if the property in the Gulf were his, the explosion on the rig would not have happened. Do you think that's true? Is BP just, if we want to phrase it this way, the worst of the worst, or is the Chevron CEO finger-pointing?
Well, it's hard to know. Of our recommendations, most of them were not adopted, and we thought they would have prevented this kind of thing. You have to remember that Chevron and everyone else who's drilling in the Gulf has permits that were signed off by MMS, the mineral management service that we know was, shall we say, too comfortable with the industry. So that means there was not vigilance, there was not regulation the way the American public would expect. And I'm thinking that all the companies in the Gulf will now face a serious review and rethinking, not just BP.
All right. Professor, we thank you for your insight. That is Zygmunt Plater. He is a law professor at Boston College, saying he's not surprised BP is involved in another disaster.